Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue à Learn French by Suchita. Je m'appelle Suchita, votre enseignante de la langue française, and in this video, I am going to tell you everything about the new format of the listening section of TEF Canada examination, which has been applied with effect from 11th of December 2023. Before we begin with this video, I would like to introduce you to my website www.learnfrenchbysuchita.com, where you will find recorded courses for all your French language needs. We have courses for DELF A1, DELF A2, DELF B1, TEF TCF recorded course, French phonetics as well. We have special courses for our school students ranging from grade 5 to grade 8. We also have courses for university students who are enrolled in certificate course or diploma course in Delhi University. And finally, we also have courses for our school students who are aiming to appear for their DELF Prem or DELF Junior examinations. So hurry up and check it out. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. And as I told you that in this video, I am going to tell you each and everything about the new and the updated version of TEF Canada examination with respect to the listening section, which has been applied from 11th of December 2023. I would request you to watch the video till the end, and in case you like the video, please do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and mention your comments in the comment section below. So let's get started, and for that, I'll take you to my screen. I hope all of you can see my screen now. Now, before I take you to the changes which has been applied in the listening section of TEF Canada examination, I would like to explain you the new CLB Score Chart which has been released by CCIP Paris and which has been applied with effect from 11th of December 2023. Now, if you look at the fourth row from the last where it is written NCLC level 7 in the first column, and if you go to Compréhension de l'oral, because in this video, I am focusing mainly on the listening section. So if you go to Compréhension de l'oral, the score which is mentioned is 434. Now, before 10th of December 2023, this score was 450 plus, which means that in the previous version, you had to score 450 plus out of 699 to get the CLB 7 score, which has been now reduced from 450 to 434. Which is a good news for all of us. So that means if you get 434 plus score, you will get CLB 7 in your listening section. For this, I had uploaded a detailed video on my YouTube channel. In case you haven't watched that video, I'm going to mention the link in the card above. You can watch that video and then come back here again. So basically what I want to say is out of 699, in order to get CLB 7, in the listening section, you need a score of 434 plus. If you get any score between 434 to 461, you get CLB 7, or I should say NCLC level 7. Now, let me explain you the overall changes which have been applied in the listening section of TEF Canada examination. Before 11th of December 2023, you had to attempt 60 questions and the time allotted was 40 to 42 minutes, 40 to 42 to 43 minutes. Now, after 11th of December 2023, the number of questions have been reduced from 60 to 40. Now, in the same time, approximately 40 to 42 minutes, you have to attempt 40 questions. What has not been changed is the fact that previously also all the questions in the listening section were multiple choice questions, and now also they are multiple choice question. And all these questions have to be attempted on computer because now it is no more a pen and paper based examination, it is ETEF. So all the questions have to be attempted on computer. So if you see that now in the same time, that means in 40 to 42 minutes, you have to attempt 40 questions instead of 60 questions. So you will get a little more time. I would not say ample amount of time, but you will get a little more time in order to read the questions and in order to attempt them. Now, let me take you to the grading scale. For each correct answer, you are rewarded 1 point. For each correct answer, you get 1 point. If you do not attempt any question, you get a 0 point. If you mark a wrong answer, then also you get a 0 point. That means you do not have any negative marking for attempting a wrong answer. And in case you mark the multiple correct answers, in that case also you get a 0 point. Let's say if in any question you have 4 options or 5 options and you mark 2 answers or you mark multiple answers to that question, in that case also you get a 0 point. Now, the sum of the correct answers is converted into the TEF score from 0 to 699 because the highest score is 699. So, they convert the sum of the correct answers into the score from 0 to 699, and that is done by taking into account the difficulty level of each question. This has not been released by them that what is the marking system for each question, but whatever correct answers you attempt, Then they convert that score from 0 to 699, taking into account the difficulty level of each question. But there is a rough estimate which has been given in the new TEF book that out of 40 questions, you need to attempt around 26 to 28 correct answers in order to get the B2 plus score. That means in order to get the CLB 7 score. Now, I'll take you to the major change which has been applied in the listening section of TEF Canada examination with effect from 11th of December 2023. In the previous pattern, depending upon the question, some audios in the listening section were played once and some audios were played twice. But now in the new format, all the audios, irrespective of the question, all the audios will be played once only. So that's a major change and you should keep that in mind. From now on, no audio will be played twice. All the audios will be played once only. Now I'm going to explain you the new format of the listening section and I'm going to explain you section by section. So let's start with section A first. Now let's start with section A. The type of audio document that you will hear is conversation avec dessin. Dessin, which means the drawings. Now what you will have in this question, you will basically have the series of 4 drawings. You will have 4 pictures which will be there in front of you. There will be an audio which will be played. Audio will be played once only. Now the duration of the audio would be about 10 seconds, 20 to 35 words about. And the level of the document is A1 or A2. So this section is the easiest section out of all the section. So make sure that you do not afford to lose any marks. So now you have basically 4 drawings. There will be an audio which will be played and you have to mark the correct picture which corresponds to that audio. Now for that, I'll take you to the example question. Now there is an example question which is reflecting on your screen. You will have 4 drawings. In each question, you will have 4 drawings. And there will be an audio which will be played. You will have to mark the correct picture which belongs to that, which corresponds to that particular audio. Before the question starts, before the audio starts, you will have 5 seconds to look at the pictures. And after the audio ends, you will have 10 seconds to reply to this question. And you will have 4 such questions. So that means in each question, you will have 4 different pictures. An audio will be played. You will have to mark the correct picture which corresponds to that audio. Now, out of all the sections, this section is the easiest of them all. So make sure you do not afford to lose any marks here. All the audios are of A1 and A2 level. Now, I'll take you to one more example question for this section. You will have 4 drawings again. Dessin A, dessin B, dessin C, et dessin D. There will be an audio which will be played and you will have to mark the correct picture which corresponds to that audio. So you will have 4 such questions in section A. Now let's move on to section B. Now in section B, you have annonce publique. Annonce publique, you have certain public announcements. So the objective of these documents is to judge whether a student understands the public announcements, which are basically the announcements which are broadcasted in the public places. You will have 4 such documents. You will hear the short audio files which are broadcasted in the public places. So you will hear 4 such documents, and with each document, with each audio file, there will be 1 question attached. Again, this is also an easy section. The level of the documents would be around A1 to B2 level, and the duration of each document, the duration of each audio file would be around 15 seconds each. So that means you will have 4 audio documents. With all the 4 audio documents, you will have 1 question attached. Now, in order to explain you this in a better way, I'll take you to the example question. Now, on your screen, you are seeing 2 example questions from section B. Here, you will hear the audio files about 15 seconds each. You will hear an audio file which has been broadcasted or which has been recorded in any of the public places, maybe on a train station, maybe on a bus stop, maybe on a public road, on a street, anywhere on a public place. And you have to listen to that audio and you have to reply to 1 question each. Basically, that question would be that in that message, what are we announcing? Or why that message has been broadcasted? What is the aim of that message? Now, before each audio, you will have 10 seconds to read the question, and after each audio, you will have 15 seconds to reply to that question. So you will hear 4 such audio documents, and with each document, you will have 1 question attached. And the question is generally like that particular message which you are hearing is broadcasted for what aim, for what purpose? What are we announcing in that message? So again, I would say a pretty much easy section. So make sure you do not afford to lose any marks in section B as well. Now, let's quickly move on to section C. Now, in section C, you have the type of audio documents, message sur répondeur téléphonique, which means you're going to hear 6 messages which are recorded on the answering machine of a telephone. The duration of each document, each audio document is about 15 seconds, and the level of the documents will range from A1 to B2 level. So you will hear 6 audio documents which are recorded on the answering machine of a telephone, and with each question and with each audio file you will have one question attached. So 6 audio documents and 6 questions to be answered here. Now on your screen you are seeing one of the example questions from section C. In this section you will hear an audio document which is recorded on the answering machine of a telephone. Now the question would be something like this, that why has the person called? The person has called for, and there will be 4 options. You have to select the correct answer why the person has called. You will have 10 seconds before the audio document starts. You will have 10 seconds to read the question, and after the audio document ends, you will have again 10 seconds to answer the question. Now, if you ask me, as per me, section C is again an easy section as compared to the later sections that we are going to have. It is again an easy section, so make sure again you do not afford to lose any marks here. Now, till section C, we have covered 14 questions out of 40 questions. So in section A, you will have 4 questions. In section B, you will have again 4 questions. And in section C, we have done 6 questions. So that means we have covered 14 questions out of 40 questions. Now, I'm going to show you another example question from section C. Again, there will be an audio file which will be played, and you have to answer to this question, that la personne appelle pour. Why the person has called? The person has called for what? For informing the client, informer un client, demander des horaires, that means asking about the timings, proposer une réduction, proposing a reduction in the price, reduction as in the discount in the price, or prendre un rendez-vous, that means for taking an appointment. So in each of the 6 questions, you have to answer to the question why the person has called. Okay, so now let's move on to section D. The type of the audio document you are going to hear are micro-trottoir. Micro-trottoir. Now, what are micro-trottoir? They are basically the street interviews. So here the objective of the question is to judge whether a student understands the opinion which is expressed by the people who are being interrogated. So here there would be a journalist who would be asking a question to different people. So let's say there is a question, are you for or are you against the uniform in the school uniforms? Are you for or are you against? Now the journalist would be asking the same question to 3 different people. Now here I'll explain you in a more detailed way. Basically, you will have 2 questions. The journalist would be asking one question to 3 different people. Okay, let's say I'll take you to the example question here. Let's say, vous allez entendre 3 personnes répondre à la question suivante. The question is, pour ou contre l'uniforme à l'école? Are you for or are you against the uniform in the school? Okay. Indiquez si la personne interrogée est totalement pour. You need to indicate whether the person who is being interrogated is totally for this, that yes, the uniform should be there in school. Et pour, mais à certaines conditions. That means the person is for, but he has certain conditions to it. Et totalement contre. The person is totally against it. Et ne se prononce pas. That means the person doesn't share any opinion. So you will have 2 different questions. That means you will hear 6 different people. In first question, you will have 1 question. Pour ou contre l'uniforme à l'école, the journalist would be interrogating 3 different people. Now 3 different people, that means 3 questions. So you see, for person 1, we have 4 different options. You have to mark after listening to the document. What is the opinion of the first person? Now, similarly, you will hear it for the second person. Similarly, you will hear it for the third person. But the options are same if you see, because the question is same. Are you for or are you against the uniform in the school? Similarly, you will have a second question of this type. Maybe, are you for or are you against the canteens in the school? Again, you will hear 3 different people who will express their opinion. Now, with the completion of section D, we have covered 50% of our comprehension orale. Because in section A, you have 4 questions. In section B, again, you have 4 questions. In section C, I told you have 6 questions, and then in section D, again, you have 6 questions, which makes it a total of 20 questions. Out of 40 questions, we have covered 20 questions. Now, the difficulty level of the section D, the audio documents that you're going to hear in section D are about B1 or B2 level. So the documents would be a little fast, and maybe the vocabulary shared is a little difficult. But I'm sure with practice, you can easily master this particular section as well. Now, let's move on to section E. That means the 5th section. Here you will hear the radio chronicles, chronic radio, which means radio chronicles. Here you will hear 2 radio chronicles. So first of all, let's understand what are radio chronicles. Radio chronicles are short programs which are broadcasted on any of the radio channels. Basically, their objective is to transmit a precise information that can be any factual information, or that can be technical information. So their objective is to transmit any precise information to a large public. So they are broadcasted on the radio channels. Here you will hear two radio chronicles, and for each radio chronicle you will have one question attached. So that means you will have two documents, and with each document you will have one question to answer. The level of the question would be about B1 to B2 level, and each document would be around 40 seconds. And the number of words would be around 120 to 140 words each. Now let me take you to one of the example questions. Here, before the radio chronicle, that means before the audio starts, you will have 10 seconds to read the question. And after the audio ends, you will have 15 seconds to answer the question. The question is based on the information which is provided in the radio chronicle. Now let's move on to section F. Here you would have interviews. Now in section E, what you had was the radio chronicles. There it was one person who was speaking. Here it's an interview. Basically, there will always be a journalist and a person who has been invited. So it's a conversation between these two people, between a journalist and the invited person. This section is a little difficult in comparison to whatever we have done till now. So the duration of each audio document would be about 1.5 minutes, and the level of the document would range from B1 to C2 level. So you are going to hear 3 different interviews, and for each interview, you would have 2 questions attached. That means number of documents you would have 3. And with each document, you would have 2 questions. So that means in total, in section F, you have 6 questions. Now, let me take you to the example question. If you can see on your screen, that's one example question of one of the interviews. You're going to hear the interview. And with the interview, you would have 2 questions attached, which are based on any of the information which is given in the interview. Now, before the audio document starts, you would have 20 seconds to read the questions. And after the audio document ends, you would have 30 seconds to answer those questions. Now, there is a general pattern that I have observed in these type of questions, although that's not fixed, but that's a general pattern that I have observed. The journalist generally asks 2 questions to the person who has been invited. The answer to the first question which has been posed to you is generally in the first answer that the journalist is giving, that the person who has been invited is giving, And the answer to the second question which has been posed to you is generally in the second answer that the person who has been invited is giving. So that's a general pattern, although that's not fixed, but that's a general pattern that might help you while solving these questions. Now, let's quickly move on to section G, which is the 7th part of your comprehension orale. Here, the type of the documents that you're going to hear are reportage RFI. Now, what is a reportage? Let's first understand what is a reportage. Reportage is basically a short documentary which reflects any of the situation which is ongoing in any of the country. Now, here they talk about different themes. For example, education, environment, society, it can be culture, it can be based on history, etc. Now, out of all the sections, this section is the most difficult. The duration of the document is 2.5 minutes. So here you will hear only one reportage, and on that 2 questions are based. Okay. So, and the level of the document is C1 to C2 level. So here, that's my general suggestion. You have just one reportage and 2 questions are based on that. And I'm not asking you to leave it completely. But if you find it too difficult to handle, then you can leave this section in the sense that whatever you understand during the exam, you can mark it there and then. Like whatever you understand in the exam, you can mark it as per hit and trial as well. So I'm not asking you to leave it completely, but not to pay too much attention on this because anyways, it is just 2 questions. Now I'm going to show you one of the example questions. So before the reportage starts, before the audio document starts, you would have 10 seconds to read the questions. And after that, you would have 15 seconds to answer these questions. Now let's move on to the last part, which is section H, which is the 8th part of your comprehension orale. Type of the document is document audio divers. That means here you will hear different types of audio documents. That means it can be, let's say, the extracts from any of the radio channels, radio program or television program. It can be any weather forecast, or it can be any interview, reportage. It can be basically any of the audio document which is related to your daily life. Now, this is the major part. Here you will have 10 different audio documents, and for each audio document, you would have one question to answer. The level of the documents would range from B1 to C2 level, and the duration would also range from 15 to 30 seconds. So that means 10 different audio documents and 10 different questions to answer. For each audio document, you would have one question to answer. Now, let me take you to one of the example questions. Here, before the audio document starts, you would have 10 seconds to read the question, and after that, you would have 15 seconds to answer that question. Now, the number of words which you're going to hear in the audio document would range from somewhere 60 to 150 words. So here, there would be a large variety. You would hear somewhere from B1 to C2 level. Now, let me take you to some of the resources which would help you prepare for your TEF Canada listening section. So the first resource that I have for you is the new TEF book, which is very well available on Amazon. This is the new TEF book which has come up in the market, which has been released by Le Français des Affaires. And this has the latest sample papers. So I'm going to drop the link in the description box below. If you want, you can order from there. Now, the next one that I have for you is the website prepmyfuture.com. This is their official website. And this video is not at all sponsored. This is actually their official website where you will find the updated sample papers. So you'll have to buy their subscription, and then all those sample papers will be unlocked for you. And last but not the least, you can join our wonderful classes. And for that, you can WhatsApp us on the number which is reflecting on your screen, 89200060461. And of course, there are a lot of YouTube channels, websites, and Spotify channels which would help you prepare for your TEF Canada examination, especially for the listening section where you can practice and where you can listen different types of audio documents in French. For example, reportage, interviews, podcast, etc. If you want me to make a separate video explaining you the different YouTube channels and Spotify channels which would help you prepare for your TEF Canada listening section, let me know in the comment section below. And that's it for this video. In case you liked this video, please do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and do not forget to hit the bell button for all the updates and reminders. And you can also follow me on my Instagram page, which is Learn French by Suchita, for all the updates and reminders. And I'll see you soon with the next video. Till then, au revoir, à bientôt et bisous bisous.